The date is the something. What is the date? My watch is acting up. It's something like the 28th, isn't it? 28th, yes. January 28th. I failed to note my 51st anniversary on the 25th, which was the 51st year of my meditation journey. It was in India on January the 25th. The first time that I ever experienced a quiet mind. So I have a poem. I've had a couple this morning and rejected them. This is the story of Baba Yaga from Russian folktales. Baba Yaga was an old woman who lived in the deep forest, is an old woman who lives in the deep forest. She has a wild hag-like visage. She stirs her cooking pot and knows all things. She requires us to go into the dark, to ask dangerous questions, to step outside the world of logic and comfort. A seeker knocks on her door. Are you here on your own errand, or are you sent by another? The young man, encouraged on his quest by his family, says, I am sent by my father. She throws him in the pot and cooks him. The second seeker, a young woman, arrives, and Baba Yaga says, Are you on your own errand, or are you sent by another? She replies, I'm on my own errand. Baba Yaga cooks her too. The third seeker, deeply confused by the world, comes to Baba Yaga's house. She sees the smoke of the fire and knows that it's a dangerous place. Are you on your own errand, or are you sent by another? She answers truthfully, In large part I'm on my own errand, but in large part I also come because of others, and in large part because you are here, and because of the forest, and something I have forgotten, and in large part I know not at all why I come. Baba Yaga looks at her for a moment and says, You'll do, and shows her into the hut. The third seeker, deeply confused by the world, comes to Baba Yaga's house. She sees the smoke of the fire and knows it is really dangerous. Are you on your own errand, or are you sent by another? She answers truthfully, In large part I'm on my own errand, but in large part I also come because of others. And in large part because you are here, and because of the forest, and something I have forgotten, and in large part I know not at all why I come. You'll do, says Baba Yaga. So we bring this living, vulnerable, precious, one-of-a-kind human being and if we dare to, we might get a glimpse of how utterly mysterious and unstable our lives are. Just after I came out to get set up this morning, I got a text from Jennifer. Budo, my dog of 18 years, is vomiting. He doesn't eat much anymore. I keep wondering, actually quite clearly, when will his days be done? We're going on a trip next Saturday, a week from tomorrow. He'll be cared for by Adrian, who will do a good job, my stepson. But when I'm away, Buddha really doesn't eat much. Last time I was away, he wouldn't go back in the house. He came out here and was sitting at the door of my shed. I suggested to Adrian that he open the door and see that I wasn't here. But he stayed outside for 48 hours. There he is now. Now he wants to go out. I'm going to let him out. All right. All right, there you go. So it's a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? All we have is now. So thank you, dear friends, for coming to sit together this morning. Let's take a comfortable, upright posture in the landing zone of our own life. Right here, right now. Ah, yes. Thank you, Tamara. Recording. Interestingly, I didn't hear that. Familiar, isn't it? Sitting here with our friends. Let's remember the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And what does it mean in this moment to take refuge in the Buddha? To be awake, to know what's happening, to be mindful. And what does it mean to take refuge in the Buddha, in the Dharma, in the way things actually are? It doesn't take any theory, it doesn't take imagination. What is the experience of this moment? And refuge in Sangha. We have our community of practice. And we have 2,600 years of people just like us, getting up in the morning, gathering together, perhaps. And in a way, asking the question, what's happening? What's real? And so we come home to the body. Home to breathing. home to what is. We come to Baba Yaga's house on a quest of sorts. Among humans, it's unusual to stop and sit down like this. To stop and not have a screen on. To in fact have the intention of interrupting thinking again and again. To be present with the human being. Just being. We could say resting in the present moment, lying back in the arms of love. Being present for the in-breathing and out-breathing, as well as the rest, the entirety of this living body. Noticing the wandering mind. And let's not start a war or continue a war with the wandering mind. Mindfulness is simply vastly deeper than the wandering mind. Given half a chance, the wandering mind will become an object of observation. And so we sit comfortably upright. Doing the most important thing a human being can do. We are cultivating just as one cultivates a garden. For we too are an ecological system. We're cultivating mindfulness, time and again awakening to what's happening. Oh, the mind is wandering into wanting something or wanting something not, liking and disliking. The mind is caught up in restlessness, agitation, worry, remorse, the whole psychological gamut of stories, struggles. Or there's a large dose of sloth and torpor, sleepy dullness, or a small dose, episodic dose. Or there's doubt, or an emotional storm of one kind or another. These are not mistakes. These are not problems. They're just the 5 hindrances. Mindfulness awakens to them. We cultivate concentration. We have a primary object, a home base in the breath, in the breathing, in the body. And so every time the mind wanders, we have an opportunity to cultivate, to plant, to harvest concentration. We cultivate curiosity. It's one thing to sit in meditation and just want to be quiet. It's another to work with concentration and mindfulness and at the same time be very curious what's happening. We practice with some diligence, with some persistence, not just coming back day after day, but also moment by moment. We stay seated in the middle of the storms of life. Pleasure, pain, gain, loss, health, sickness. We develop equanimity, the capacity to be present with all the movements of life. We practice tranquility. Concentration develops, mindfulness develops, and the mind becomes quite tranquil. Not always, but more often, increasingly. And a kind of quiet joy comes from within. A kind of delightful contentment, which doesn't depend upon things of the world going well. It's the realization that that which we are is much deeper than success and failure and pleasure and pain. And all of this, remarkably, from simply coming home to breathing with some diligence, with bringing to the practice, I aspire to love and accept myself exactly as I am in this moment. With cultivating compassion. And it's not the words, of course, but having the intention. When I'm hurting, whenever I discover myself to be hurting or suffering, I intend to hold myself in sweet compassion. May all beings share in the merits of our practice. May our loved ones, those near and dear to us, be touched by our open heart. May our friends, relatives, work colleagues, may all beings to the north of us, may all to the south of us, may all to the east and all to the west, above and below in all directions, however life manifests itself. May all beings remember their true nature. Oh, I know why. Yes. There's now a fence again between the garden and the trash cans. Oh, and this happened yesterday. All the furniture belonging to the tenants got moved out of the Dharma Hall. The carpet cleaning company is coming in on Monday. And here we are. We see the trash cans in their proper cloistered position. And the gates will go on today. Thank you, Mish Mikazi. Good morning, Mr. Dalton. Is there, the announcement. There's one announcement I should share, which is here. Can I find it? I had it before. Oh, well. If you go to the portlandinsight.org website, in the top left box on the homepage, you will see the invitation to our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion community meeting next Tuesday night at 7. Please come and bring your particular beautiful voice to that conversation. Jim, anything else that we should mention that I am forgetting completely? Okay, thank you. So, friends, Is there something happening in your life or heart that you'd like to bring into the light of this community? Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Wonderful. And Michael Mead, who brought Baba Yaga to me. I'm sure I know where I'm going and what my quest is into the pot. And as I'd like to encourage those of you that are very quiet, if there's something you'd like to say sometime, please do. Hello, Leanne. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, uh, it's a dilemma. I'm not sure if I come of my own accord or whether somebody sent me. um, I don't know if you noticed, but I've been speaking less and less. And letting some mornings there's a 30-minute silence. Yeah, yeah. And uh, I don't know. I do know, well, I come from Ruth Dennison as my teacher, and Ruth, to a fault, actually, especially as she aged, she never stopped talking on retreats. I mean, literally, there would be hours of her talking. And I did learn to do something that was very helpful, which was, oh, shoot. I lost the picture here for a bit. Um, I learned how to hear her voice as sound. And that's a very important skill. It reminds me that way back, 79, my first wife and I took 25 Lewis and Clark students to India for 5 months. It's crazy. And among the things that she had arranged was a 10-day meditation retreat. And everyone who came, here they are, they're college students, everyone who came had to agree they would do a 10-day meditation retreat, which is a ridiculous thing to ask of them. And so some of them were gone over the wall. One woman who sat every day very diligently, she was like the perfect meditator. And we found out from her roommate afterwards she was taking Quaaludes for the whole retreat so she could sit quietly. But we were across the street from the Mahabodhi temple, the sanctum sanctorum of Buddhism. And above it, there was a little flat area, a little plain. And the night we arrived, there were trucks there, and it was the Metro Circus. And for the entirety of the retreat, the Metro Circus was there. And they would play this, Indian show music. There were 4 pieces of Indian show music. They would play loudly enough to rattle the speakers. And we went to the circus after the end of the retreat. They had a piece of railway track on a cable, and they would hit it with a ball peen hammer with a microphone. Dang, 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 dang. That was the retreat from early in the morning till late at night. And some of the students, 2 of the guys came back and said, we found the power controls. We could shut it down for at least a few hours. And I went through hatred of it. And the point of the story was, it also came to the point where it was just, it's sound. And, it's no louder in a way than the wandering mind. Right? The wandering mind it's really, we're used to it, but it's, especially if it's going a lot. So there's those skills that we can develop. And turning off the speakers is not a bad plan. It's like I encourage people that when you're sitting at home, if there's noise around in your environment, get some really good earplugs and get some construction and be in the silence if you want. But it is in my role, I find it's a dilemma. I could just be quiet. Sometimes that's what I'd rather do. But then I look around and, there's someone kind of new here that I haven't. And it would not be kind to do that. And other times it seems to me, and I don't know if this is true or not, but sometimes what comes does not feel very personal to me at all. It's like it is something coming through. And I hear back from people sometimes that, whoa, that guidance this morning just took me into something I'd never experienced before. So it's dukkha, it's a dilemma. And one other remembrance. That's a long time ago. I heard a conversation. I was present for a conversation between Ruth Denison and he was a very Buddhist teacher, very technological. Some of you would know his name, I'm sure. Anyway, they had a conversation about doing guidance, and they agreed that funny, I want to remember his name. He stayed at my house one time, early on. Anyway, that if you don't say something, would be a quote, if you don't say something, people are lost into their conditioned mind and nothing's happening. And that's an interesting thing to think about. But I know that I have had that experience. I had it many times with Ruth. And Ruth also did guided meditations for individuals. She once spent with me between here and here about an hour and a quarter. One time driving home from the airport, she did a guided meditation the whole way. And, notice seeing, putting on the blinker, changing lanes, seeing, checking the mirrors. And I was all ready to talk. I hadn't seen her in months. And we got to Dhammadina, and I was very calm because she'd been providing the concentration and mindfulness to just be here. So it's a dilemma, and I continue to wrestle with it, and I appreciate your bringing it up. And I strongly encourage, sit on your own, sit in silence. Don't always use a tape or a recording or me or whatever. Sometimes just stop. And I'm going on vacation a week from tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to lots of time to sit, maybe a couple of 3 hours a day. It'll be so wonderful to have space and nothing I have to keep tracking. So thanks for the question, Leanne. It's very helpful. There's one other thing that I've deleted here several times this morning. Jennifer says something like, "Oh God, I just can't listen to you talking in meditation." So why don't you be more quiet, Robert? And on retreats, I do get much quieter. Where it's important that there be 45-minute sits where there's nothing. There's just whatever's here. The first day or two, I do lots of talking, and then it gets quiet. And the longer the retreat, the quieter it gets. It gets. One other point of information is that the registration is open for the Brighton Bush Retreat in June and the Hollyhock Retreat in May. They're both limited in attendance, so if you want to attend, I suggest you sign up soon. Hello, Neil. Long time no hear. Uh-huh. Mm. 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 Did you feel it specifically in your body? Did you notice where you felt it? Uh-huh. Great. Well, it sounds like you did places. You also adjusted towards your neck. Yeah. So how wonderful that you could sit with it and see the dukkha. And maybe you might also have noticed the disliking of it, which is where the dukkha comes from. Yeah. Good for you. Did the check show up? I see. Huh. Whoa. How how extraordinarily meditator-ish of you. How wonderful. That's great. Thank you. Well, it's a little after 8. I need to get a move on relatively early this morning. Thanks for being here, Jim. Right, right. No wind off the lake. Nothing, nothing. Right. Yep, yep. Okay. So, any last sharing anyone would like to make this morning, please? So let's sing our way home. May all beings receive all blessings. Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. Bhavatu Sabe Mangalam. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Happy trails, dear friends. Don't forget your masks. I know 3 or 4 people who have COVID now, one person rather severely. So be safe. Bye-bye. Thank you, friends on Facebook and YouTube.